those famous pui trees mark as a beacon in the history of Princestown. It was planted by Princess Albert and Prince George, who was Queen Victoria's grandsons. Now get this, Finn. Queen Victoria, before they took off on this trip that would take them to the likes of Australia and Fiji and the Mediterranean Sea, Queen Victoria didn't want her grandsons to leave the United Kingdom. She thought it was too dangerous and they would drown and they would sink.
As any responsible grandmother would react.
But they ended up coming to Princestown, and Prince Albert absolutely loved the town. They actually arrived at night, and when he got up in the morning, he was blown away. In fact, he wrote an entire letter about it in getting back to England about Princestown. He was mind blown by how beautiful it was. And they ended up, they liked it so much, I guess they renamed it after themselves.
Yeah, I suppose that's what you do when you're a prince, right? And the name stuck. So
It's stuck for over 100 years, you know, and Princestown has come such a long way since the 1860s, and it's now such a vibrant community in the Southlands. It's leading on many fronts, and it's continued to lead in things like agriculture, and now it's leading in shopping, things like that. But it also faces a lot of challenges in the Southlands, and we're going to be discussing those challenges and solutions to those challenges. We've got a great panel. One of the biggest problems right now is crime. And we've got two sergeants, not one, but two sergeants. We're that lucky from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the Princestown Police Station. I want to welcome to Community Talks Sergeant Rudy Jagu, who is in charge of the police station in Princestown. Next to him, we've got Sergeant James Ramnath, who is in charge of case management in Princestown Police Station. Next to him, we've got Vashti Suku, who is the councillor of the Princestown Regional Corporation in charge of Bellaman, Hardbargain, and Williamsville, not very far from where I used to live, by the way. And to her immediate left, we've got the chairman of the Tableland Pineapple Farmers Association in Ramesh Ramsumir.
And at the back, we have a well-known face from Princestown, Vernon Prasad, the owner of Prasad the Food King, with all 8 branches. Started off in Princestown, still very much attached to Princestown. Next to him, we have Derek Matura, who is the councillor responsible for Inverness, Princestown South at the Princestown Regional Corporation. We have also with us the chairman of the Regional Corporation, Mr. Gauri Rupnarayan, and at the back, rounding us out this evening, we have Eric Lewis, a community advocate and First Native Prince of Moruga. So royalty.
We've got royalty. Wonderful.
The start of Princestown's history in terms of the formal naming, and royalty with us in the room this
Maybe he's
evening.
the new Prince of Princestown.
So Ryan mentioned that we have some of the challenges that Princestown continues to face, like many other parts of the country. And one of the big name ones is infrastructure. I know that will affect all of the industries, whether it's tourism, business, farming. So I'm wondering if we want to start with Mr. Ramsumir, because I know that for your purposes, in terms of agriculture, you need solid infrastructure, not just in terms of those main highways and byways, but the access roads that will help you get your product in and out. What struggles do you face with respect to infrastructure, and particularly those access roads?
Infrastructure, agricultural access roads is very important for most of the fruits and vegetables, which are perishables. And over the years, there have been several challenges being a rural community. You have the Naparima Maya Road that is under some heavy, presently it's under some heavy reconstruction, all right, after several years. And also you have the Moruga Road that leads to the Lasavan area that is heavily on farming. And the Tableland community, the Tableland pineapple farmers and other farmers have been challenged and continue to be challenged. But we are hoping that, that more emphasis will be played with respect to infrastructure on roads, because it's a lot of cost that goes into infrastructure, because the type of soil in that Tableland area and the Moruga area has a history and a record of most landslips, and that has been a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge for farmers.
Mr. Prasad, with delivery so much a part of your business, distribution, delivery, stock coming in, stock going out, how have you been able to manage?
Well, an integral part of my business is the movement of goods in and out. Movement in from our suppliers outside of Princestown, and movement out to our customers, because a significant part of our business, we've been in business for about 50 years, and an integral part of the development of our business has been a home delivery service to our customers. So they will come and make their groceries, and we'll deliver to their homes. And in order for us to keep the prices down, we have to keep our costs down. But when our delivery vehicles are being at the mercy of the roads. And the Naparima Mayaro Road is one of the main arteries that goes from San Fernando all the way to Mayaro. And the dilapidated condition of that road, it has added significantly to transportation costs. And at the end of the day, when your cost goes up in business, what happens is your profits drop or the customer have to bear the burden of that price.
Mr. Prasad, this is not an isolated problem. This has been a problem that's been going on for decades, and it's just not been solved.
Definitely, it has. There are times of temporary solutions, but the time has come when a permanent solution must be found and put in place for a significant problem. I'm speaking about a main artery that takes the wealth of this country from Guayari to all the other areas, from Moruga to all the other areas, all the agriculture that comes out from the Princestown food basket, the Moruga food basket, the Tablan pineapple farmers, and all the other adjoining areas. All these persons have to bear costs because their vehicles are at the mercy of that road.
Yeah, for our friends in Central and East, just picture the Solomon Ho-Choi Highway down out of service, or the East-West corridor out. That's basically what Mr. Prasad is alluding to. And Ramesh, when you have such issues, it must also make farming merely sometimes impossible if you don't have the proper vehicles to do transportation.
Well, absolutely. The state did give subsidies with respect to the purchase of vehicles for farming. But when you have to get a 4x4, all right, and the weight of these, fruits and vegetables to come out of earthen roads and whatnot, it has been a challenge over the years. It continues to be a challenge, but it's something that must be addressed seriously with the injection of more funds for infrastructure and roads.
Well, how does all of this affect the traveling public? People who need to rely on public transportation to be able to get around, and you have taxis that may say, look, I'm just not going to go there. I'm not going down that road because it's wear and tear on my vehicle. Suku, do you have businesses who talk to you about those issues?
One of the major concerns has been expressed by both my colleagues who have spoken previously is the main roads. And within my electoral district, I am bordered by the Naparima Mayaro Road, the Bonitento Road, the Waraka Tabakate Road, and the Ghat Road. And as Mr. Prasad has indicated, the Ghat Road is one of the major areas where deliveries are being done to businesses within my district. Also on the Bonitento Road, the Nap Mayaro Road. And I think as far as sometimes reform, these roads are in a terrible condition. And residents have found themselves recently protesting because on a daily basis, vehicles are breaking down. The cost of living and cost of maintaining the vehicles are increasing. And although we have fought and we have gotten some sort of permanent infrastructure development, but there's lots left to be done on those roads that falls under central government.
Vashti, can I ask you what needs to be done? Because I feel like this is a recurring problem. I don't feel it is a recurring problem. We temporarily fix the roads, and it's so temporary that in 5 years, it's all crumbling again.
I think one of the things we have to look at is that we need to do proper development structure. When I say it, I mean the technical aspect of it with the ministries and the contractors and so on. And we look at LANSIP. LANSIP is something that affects the South greatly. And sometimes we may build a retaining wall and a year after it falls again. So we need the technical aspect of the construction to be looked at more carefully and more international standards we use.
It's not only the landslips, and I just want to tell you this as well, Fane. The landslips are one thing, but also, as Mr. Prasad alluded to, you've got trucks coming from north, from the port, heading all the way to Guayari. They use those roads, and those trucks are very heavy. Those are extra heavy T trucks. So the roads obviously have to be built for the size, and it's just not being done that way.
And I know, Mr. Lewis, you have particular in terms of access to Moruga, and you were telling me some stories about people, diplomats who you'd invited who couldn't get there because they really simply couldn't find their way, not enough signage. How has that become a problem for Moruga?
Well, that has been quite embarrassing, given that we're in 2019 and it's a developing country. We technically have sufficient resources that signage shouldn't be a problem. So one time, one of the Spanish ambassadors was visiting, and he was supposed to arrive for 10, and he hadn't gotten there until about 11. And he said, the signage are terrible. Then we had another diplomatic contention coming a second time. One of the ambassadors from Argentina and Mexico and Costa Rica, and they couldn't find it. So the signage to Muruga and the signage around in our areas are really lacking, and sometimes people use Waze, and they end up in roads that aren't, in areas that aren't developed. So it gives them a bit of a thrill. And I think one of the problems with our roads basically would have to also do with Wassa. Several homes have been washed away in Muruga and in the Lengua area when the pipelines burst underneath the roads. And I think a solution to Trinidad's road problems would be perhaps to relocate the pipelines from immediately underneath the roads themselves. I have seen land retaining walls, 100-feet retaining wall eroded due to burst pipeline. Houses gone down due to burst pipelines. So again, our engineering team really need to reconsider how they're doing, both from WASA and also both in the Ministry of Works and Transport, as well as during these projects, if someone in the community or a council of the community would monitor the road development, because currently in Muruga, a lot of road developments are happening, which I applaud, very good. At the same time, I saw where there was a landslide, and all that was done, they backfilled it with the sand, dirt, and then they built not a retaining wall, but a box drain alongside it. I do not think that is going to last for a very long time. Perhaps 3 years or 5 years, and then you'd go back to the same problem again. And I think the last problem regarding the roads is that those roads were built on Amerindian footpaths. They weren't made for cars. They were made for footpath, and they were made for mules and horses and donkeys. So
That's to tell you how old the roads are.
that's to tell you how old the
How long
roads
ago
are.
they were first built.
Yeah.
Well, the history is there, but then, of course, we need to, as you've said,
Take it into the
modernize,
21st
right?
century. Yeah,
Modernize
that's
some of
exactly
what we're
what,
using so that it can withstand the wear and tear of the loads that we carry on our nation's roads. So we're just getting into the mix here at this early stage of our Guardian Media Community Talks. A lot more to explore with our panel. We hope that you're sticking with us, because Princestown is a place to be and a place you'll want to be as you plan the rest of your July-August vacation. And of course, anytime you're looking at community tourism, domestic tourism, Princestown has so much to offer. We are sticking with Princestown here on Guardian Media Community Talks. Stay with us.